Happy New Year! We just got into 2023. And if you are someone who is watching this and maybe you had a hard 2022 or you've had a hard past couple years and you are looking for a way to get unstuck and to do a 180 and just get different results and have a much better year, I think this video is going to resonate with you a lot. 2022 for me as a business owner was the hardest year I've ever had in business. We started off the year losing two of our key team members. Our revenue was cut in half. And right after really leading into the last 6 to 8 months, I have had a hard time showing up as a business owner. And I'm kicking off 2023 with a video that I really hope will help inspire you and also share some new direction of where we're going. So today we're going to be covering 5 hard lessons that I learned in 2022 so that you don't have to. And if you resonate with some of the content that we're putting down, be sure to leave a comment below. I'm sharing this, I'm getting vulnerable with you today because I think that I'm not the only one that goes through stuff like this. We all have hard years, but it is about how you come back from that and how you learn and pivot that really determines your success and your next path forward. So first off, if you're new here, we're going to get real. I'm Kirsten, the CEO of Launch and Scale. So we help e-commerce business owners to launch and scale profitable enterprises. And part of that, we cover content such as this, such as things on mindset, leadership, performance, and how to really evolve into a business owner. Because it's not just about selling products online, it's about the companies and the brands that you're building as well. So if that's something you're into, be sure to stick around. But let's jump into point number 1. The first hard lesson I learned in 2022 was when you feel like nothing's working, keep going. The reality is that we were and still are going through a recession. And what that means is that people are close with their wallets. A lot of businesses decide to fire the marketing department first. And because of that, we had a few of our long-term clients really put services on hold. So right away, moving into last year, it was harder to get business and it was harder to stay competitive. And how we adapted to that as a business is we started pivoting. We started saying, all right, well, if people aren't spending a whole bunch of money with fat marketing budgets to grow their brands, what are they spending money on? And so we went through a series of keeping an open mind and talking to our customers and figuring out what are some problems they're having that they're willing to invest in. And so that led to a lot of really positive changes and really coming out with a whole bunch of different offers to see what would stick. And so while a lot of those initiatives we did last year did not work, us through recession and us having a hard year, it really forced us to pivot quickly and figure out what was going to work. And some of the successes we had from last year are some of our key offerings we have moving into 2023 and some of my favorite parts of the business that we never would have found had we gone into that year with a mentality of, oh no, people are not paying for this kind of service. And we tried to launch this one thing and it failed. If we just kind of gave up after that first launch, we wouldn't be here today and I wouldn't have a company and I wouldn't be excited to talk to you. So the first lesson is when you feel like nothing's working, that is when it's the most important to keep showing up because failure is a data point. So if that first offer didn't work, keep going. This is one huge lesson on how to recession-proof your business. When you are struggling to sell something, whether it's a new product or an existing product, you just have to keep going because you need to become a professional problem solver. And part of that means that when you pivot, a lot of stuff isn't going to work. But you have to keep going. Otherwise, you're never going to figure out what's going to work. Our business is stronger today because I went in learning the lesson of when you feel like nothing's working, keep going. All right. That used to be something that in my early days of running the company, I would get discouraged and unmotivated because one offer didn't work. That's a hard lesson I've had to learn because I made a promise to myself that I would make this business work. So what that meant is I had to make a decision to just keep trying and keep pivoting. So that's hard lesson number one. When you feel like nothing's working, keep going. Number two, mindset and self-talk are everything. This is a practice that I honestly have not been doing a morning routine meditation or mindset practice for the last 6 months, and it's really affected me. Starting this year, I'm now straight into it, and I don't know why I stopped, honestly. Mindset and self-talk are everything. So as I mentioned earlier in this video, we had some devastating things happen to the business. In the grand scheme, people go through much worse things. But to me, I feel like we lost our business family that we were together with COVID and business, blah, 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 right? Don't need to get into the details. But the reality is that when hard things happen to us in business, when we make a mistake, when we lose something, we have to decide how we react to that. And because I had a couple of negative, I just fell down one too many times, I forgot what I had to do to quickly shift my mindset and shift my perspective. So one lesson that is really important is to pay attention to your negative self-talk. When you meet an obstacle, that does not mean that you're not meant to do it. Because in business, if this were easy, everyone would be doing it. So having a mindset and having a good mindset practice and paying attention to your self-talk is everything. Because if you're not careful with your mind, that one negative thought about how you're feeling, about how your business is over, about maybe that employee quitting means you're not a good place to work, whatever those self-defeating negative thoughts you're having are, you've got to stop them in their tracks. Otherwise, they're going to fester and turn into a huge infection that could kill you. So, self-talk, it's all in flipping the script. So when you have negative thoughts happen, our brain is literally predisposed to negative thoughts. So we have to actively pivot to positive thinking. Last year, I lost that. And this is really the hard lesson number two, is that I'm really strong with mindset, and I had a really good morning routine going up right until these things started happening. And then I guess just life got in the way. So one of the first things we're doing to turn 2023 around is committing to a daily mindset practice to make sure that I am staying on my A game on shifting those negative patterns into positive ones so that I can keep showing up as a business owner. So if you're feeling okay right now, but you don't have a mindset practice, when you go to leave your comfort zone and grow your company, you need to stay on that every single day because your ego can take over. And I kind of lost my way last year. So putting in my old mindset practice is shifting everything already. I can feel it. Lesson number 3 is hire slow, fire fast. This one's important because I think a lot of us jump to hire a little too soon, and it is a personal choice. But one thing I discovered is that through COVID, when we had a full team and full revenue, and then having to downsize in 2022, I realized that a lot of the work that I was outsourcing could have done more efficiently, could have eliminated it completely. And moving into it, after we downsized the team, I made the commitment to take a profit first mentality. And there's a great book on this called Profit First by Mike Michalowicz. Excellent read. Definitely check it out. But with that being said, we are now hiring slow because as our business scales, as it grows, we, during the last 6 to 8 months, have been forced to be lean. And when we're lean, what that means is that I actually realized that we were spending a lot of money on salaries that we didn't have to. So by downsizing and leaning up the company, I now am going to be more intentional about when we hire, and I'm going to wait until we're at 120% capacity before hiring. I think it's really important to make sure, A, that you can support staff that comes on. Make sure you have enough recurring revenue to cover that and doesn't eat into your salary as an entrepreneur or inventory. And also making sure that you're intentional about who you're hiring and you take the time to find the right people. A lot of the time, especially in the beginning, if you are new, you might be inexperienced with hiring someone. And so you might literally hire the first person you interview. Take your time. Finding the right fit is not just about being able to have someone who knows how to post on TikTok. You want to make sure that you're hiring the right person for the role, and it fits as a culture, like how you want to work with them and stuff like that. So hire slow, fire fast. Lesson number 4. Showing vulnerability isn't a weakness, it's a strength. This is something that I struggle with so much. If you have gone through other videos of mine in the past, you will know that me getting vulnerable, talking about things behind the scenes, talking about stuff that, like, when it didn't work out for us, is not something I do very often. So if you're wondering why I'm doing this video, one big thing that I am shifting toward in 2023 is showing up as more of a leader. And to me, being a leader means admitting when things don't go your way, admitting when you have a bad year, because it's not about failing. It's not about having a dry spell, having an employee quit. It's not about, oh no, leaders don't have stuff bad happen behind the scenes. I think that a lot of people online try to save face by painting this perfect picture online. And for me, just being private about the business life and me just not being vulnerable with you about, like, what was going on and why it is what it is because for me, it's really difficult to show off as weak, because one of my limiting beliefs is by being vulnerable, it means I'm showing weakness. And because of that, maybe you'll lose respect for me or whatever. One of the shifts that I'm making internally as I evolve as a leader is being more vulnerable, because the reality is that business and being your own boss and being an entrepreneur is all about personal development. You will not get to the next level and stay there and be happy and have the life you want, the business you want, without facing some hard truths about yourself. And my hope is that by sharing my personal struggle, being vulnerable, that it empowers you to be vulnerable. It empowers you to share when things aren't okay with your mastermind, share when you need help. Because it's all about, when we're trying to save face and pretend that everything's okay, it's usually when it's not okay behind the scenes. So it's my mission moving into 2023 to be doing more videos like this, where we are sharing behind the scenes personal development and, some hard-earned lessons along the way, because I hope that A, you resonate, B, it gives you permission to show up how you want to authentically, but also just know that business is hard, and a lot of us make it mean something that it shouldn't be. A classic example is, oh no, this big obstacle happened, like my supplier dropped me, our factory burned down, or I lost our business partner, or PayPal's holding onto our funds, or whatever that big, like, horrible, scary thing that happens in your business. If you say, oh no, this is a sign I probably shouldn't be doing what I'm doing, versus talking to someone who maybe can give you a different perspective on that, it may actually cause you to quit or make a mistake or do something that you might regret. So by talking about things when you're scared, when you're vulnerable, are going to actually help you move ahead. So my goal with this video is to help you move ahead. Even if you think less of me for being like, wow, she is a mess. All of us are a mess behind the scenes, but it's the ones who get to admit it and be vulnerable that I think we can relate to the most. If you're looking for some recommendations on how to learn a little bit more about vulnerability, or how to be vulnerable with your team, with whoever, Brene Brown has some amazing reads on the subject, so I definitely recommend you check that out. Okay, lesson number 5. Vision is everything. So I spent the last month basically hands off from the business outside of some client commitments and things that we already had in the books. But outside of a couple of hours of work a day, I was basically off. And I did this on purpose because I had to step away from the business to figure out how I wanted to show up in 2023. Perspective for me and this last month has been so important because I discovered through this process of the messiness of 2022 that our biggest opportunity, biggest limitation for growth in moving into this year was a lack of vision. So I felt last year that I got to the point where I was just kind of going through the motions as a business owner. I didn't really know what our end goal was, what the vision was, why I was doing what I was doing outside of putting food on the table and keeping our team happy and all the, and keep producing content. Like I lost my direction. And so our biggest opportunity moving into this year is to have a vision. So I worked through, Cameron Herold has an awesome book called Vivid Vision that should take you just a couple hours to get through, where he maps out a process for how to get really clear on your 3-year vision. And so I identified my biggest opportunity and roadblock in 2022 was I just got lost. So I used this month to gain perspective, really just like listen to my gut and say like, what the heck, what am I doing? Like, why am I getting out of bed every day? What am I building? Why am I here? And I got my vision back. And I'm very, very, very excited. And I think that Simon Sinek says, start with why. Everything starts with why. And so when things get hard and you don't have a good reason for showing up every day, no wonder you don't have motivation to keep going. No wonder you spin your wheels for weeks or months. So I took it back to the drawing board, recreated a 3-year vision, and from the vision of what I want to build in 3 years, I was able to take that back to what are our goals for 2023, and then from that, what are our goals this quarter, and it gave us actionable points so that now I realize I'm someone that I need to check things off. I love my checklists. And one of the mistakes I was making with us making goals off the vision was I didn't have a goal I could check off and know for sure that we completed that. One reason I love fitness so much is because if one of my goals is to run a marathon, I can check that off if I have completed a marathon because it's very, very specific. But if I had a goal like dominate e-commerce, it's what does that mean? What does that even mean? It was so vague. So I got crystal clear on the vision, how we know if we actually hit that vision, and broke that down into goals and action steps and all the things. I'm a very good project manager, as you can see, because I just love, that's what I do. Anyway, I'm getting off point here. So to summarize, the 5 hard lessons that I have learned is, number 1, when you feel like nothing's working, keep going because you're really, really close to a breakthrough. Number 2, mindset and self-talk are everything. Have a regular practice of keeping on top of those negative thoughts to shift them into positive affirmations for yourself. Number 3, hire slow, fire fast. 4, showing vulnerability isn't a weakness, it's a strength. 5, vision is everything. Outside of that, thank you so much. If you resonated with this, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Outside of that, I look forward to our regularly scheduled content. I'll see you soon. Take care.